Think about the biggest geopolitical battles of the last century. They were almost always about oil. Oil sparked wars, shaped alliances, and made and broke empires. It was the energy of scarcity, the energy of control. But here's a thought. What if the key to the next century wasn't found in a sticky, black liquid from Saudi Arabia, but in the constant, roaring heat right beneath your feet? I'm talking about geothermal energy. It's clean, it's always on 24/7, and it's so massive. The heat stored in the top few miles of the Earth's crust could power humanity for millennia. Yet for decades, it was considered a niche player, something only Icelanders or New Zealanders bothered with. Well, that is changing. Fast. Thanks to breakthroughs borrowed from the fracking world. This quiet, reliable power source is transforming into a global competitor. And when a clean, inexhaustible resource becomes economically viable, it doesn't end energy geopolitics, it just creates a whole new battleground. This isn't just a science story. It's a story of Lithium Valley in California, a story of diplomatic friction on the Ring of Fire, and a race between global superpowers to master the technology that can unlock the literal heat of the Earth. Stick around, because the battle for the planet's energy future is about to get deep. First, let's lay the groundwork. What is geothermal? The name tells you everything. Geo for Earth, thermal for heat. It's energy harvested directly from the Earth's core. Now, traditionally, geothermal has been the lucky winner's energy. To make a conventional geothermal power plant work, you need three things: heat, fluid, which is water, and permeability, which means cracks in the rock that let the water flow. Mother Nature only provides this perfect combination near tectonic plate boundaries and volcanoes, like the famous Ring of Fire that circles the Pacific. This is why countries like the Philippines, Indonesia, and Iceland have massive geothermal industries. But here's why it's a game changer today. We are building a new energy grid based on wind and solar. And wind and solar are fantastic, but they have a fatal flaw: they are intermittent. The wind stops, the sun sets. We still need power 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We need baseload power, that constant, reliable hum that keeps the lights on no matter what. For decades, baseload meant coal or nuclear. But geothermal is 100% clean baseload. A geothermal plant produces power with the same reliability as a nuclear plant, but without the waste or the fuel costs. Once you drill a hole, the fuel Earth's heat is free and practically infinite. This unique combination of being both clean and constant is why geothermal has suddenly jumped from the sidelines right into the global energy spotlight. But how do you get this power everywhere? That's where the technology gets exciting. The old rule was no naturally permeable rock, no geothermal. The new rule, borrowed from the controversial world of oil and gas, is: if Mother Nature didn't crack the rock, we will. The technology that is completely upending geothermal geopolitics is called Enhanced Geothermal Systems, or EGS. X is essentially man-made geothermal. It takes that perfect three-part recipe: heat, fluid, and permeability, and says, we don't need the fluid or the permeability, we'll bring them. Imagine drilling 2 extremely deep wells into hot, dry, impermeable rock. We're talking 3 to 5 miles down, often using advanced directional drilling techniques pioneered by the oil industry. Then, you pump water down the first well under high pressure. This pressure creates tiny, controlled fractures in the hot rock. The water then circulates through this new, engineered reservoir, heats up to volcanic temperatures, and is pulled back up the second well to power a turbine. This changes everything. If you only need hot rock, which is everywhere if you drill deep enough, then every country on Earth becomes a potential geothermal superpower. The resource stops being a matter of geographic luck and becomes a matter of technological mastery. And this is where the new battles begin. The competition is no longer over who has the heat, but who can master the drilling and reservoir creation the cheapest and fastest. The United States has poured billions into EGS research, leveraging its vast oil and gas drilling expertise. Companies are now drilling horizontal geothermal wells, just like they drill for shale oil, but with the goal of creating clean power. China views EGS as a critical component of its energy independence and is investing heavily in deep drilling technology to heat entire cities. Japan, sitting on the Ring of Fire but struggling with public resistance to build in plants near national parks, sees EGS as a way to use their heat more efficiently and discreetly. The new geopolitical dynamic is technological dependence. The countries that develop the best, cheapest, and safest EGS drilling and mapping technology will essentially hold the keys to energy independence for the rest of the world. It's a very different kind of power than controlling a physical oil field, but it's power nonetheless. So we've established how new drilling tech unlocks geothermal energy anywhere, but the story gets even crazier. Geothermal plants might hold the key to solving the single biggest bottleneck for the green revolution: batteries. Right now, we need an insane amount of lithium for electric cars and grid-scale storage. Most of it comes from environmentally damaging hard rock mines or massive evaporation ponds in South America that use up colossal amounts of water and take years. But then, engineers in Southern California's Salton Sea region discovered something amazing. The super-hot, salty water they were already pumping up for their geothermal plants was packed with lithium. This discovery gave birth to a game-changing technology called direct lithium extraction, or DLE. Think of it like a super-efficient filter. Instead of waiting years for water to evaporate, DLE pulls the lithium directly out of the hot brine in a matter of hours. Then, the same water, now stripped of its valuable mineral, is re-injected back into the earth to be reheated. It's a closed-loop system. This is a huge deal. It means a single geothermal well now offers a country two strategic assets from one hole in the ground: 24/7, clean power, and a secure domestic supply of a critical battery mineral. It's the ultimate buy one, get one free deal for national security, dramatically cutting reliance on China for processing and South America for mining. This is what they call Lithium Valley, and it's a new front in the global resource race. But it's not all perfect cooperation. While enhanced geothermal can tap into heat almost anywhere, traditional hydrothermal plants rely on natural reservoirs of hot water and steam. These reservoirs are finite, and they don't respect international borders. Imagine you and your neighbor share a single underground water well. If your neighbor suddenly starts running a giant factory using that water, your well is going to run dry. That's exactly the kind of tension brewing on geopolitical borders right now. If one country drills too aggressively into a shared hydrothermal field, it can literally steal the heat and steam pressure from its neighbor, creating a new kind of transboundary resource conflict. This also creates an opportunity for soft power. Countries with advanced geothermal expertise like Japan, the US, and Germany are gaining influence by exporting their technology and financing projects in developing nations along the volcanic ring of fire, places like Indonesia and Kenya. By helping these countries develop their own clean energy, they're rebuilding alliances and reducing their reliance on traditional fossil fuel exporters like Russia or Middle Eastern states. It's a quiet but powerful way to reshape the global energy map. Of course, there are major roadblocks. One of the biggest fears surrounding enhanced geothermal is induced seismicity, the fancy term for man-made earthquakes. The process of fracturing deep rock to create a reservoir is borrowed from the oil and gas industry, and it has caused minor, but very public, seismic events in the past. Even small tremors can create huge local political friction and fuel the not in my backyard or NIMBY movement. This cultural and political pushback can be just as big a barrier as any technological challenge. Then there's the money. Geothermal has incredibly high upfront costs. Drilling deep into hard rock is expensive and risky. This creates a financial dependency on either huge international banks or foreign investment, which opens the door to another layer of financial geopolitics. And finally, there's the bureaucracy. In many Western countries, just getting the permits to drill can take years. This glacial pace is a massive non-technical hurdle that slows down adoption and gives a huge advantage to countries with centralized planning, like China, who can greenlight major infrastructure projects much faster. So what's the endgame? Why go through all this trouble? The ultimate prize of geothermal energy is total energy self-sufficiency. It offers a way out of the volatile global oil and gas markets, which are constantly being rocked by wars, pipeline disputes, and price manipulation. Just look at Europe. The energy crisis triggered by the war in Ukraine and Russia's weaponization of natural gas spurred a massive surge in investment into domestic geothermal for heating and power, especially in countries like Germany and Italy. They see it as a long-term solution for national resilience. Geothermal isn't about making a quick profit for a few years. It's about building a stable foundation for the next 100. We started this journey by noting that the last century's battles were fought over oil, the energy of scarcity. But we're ending with a new understanding. The next century's crucial conflicts, energy security, and clean energy. These are the crucial conflicts And its crucial collaborations will be centered on deep energy, the energy of abundance. Geothermal is no longer the quiet kid in the corner. It's now a strategic global asset, driven by three massive shifts. First, the technological leap of EGS has democratized the heat beneath our feet, making drilling expertise the new superpower. Second, the lithium bonus connects the race for clean energy with the race for critical minerals, offering nations a path to true independence. And third, the resilience imperative makes geothermal the ultimate insurance policy against the chaos of global fossil fuel markets and geopolitical aggression. The future of energy is being decided not by who controls pipelines or shipping lanes, but by who controls the technology to tap the inexhaustible furnace below our feet. The battlegrounds are no longer deserts and seas, but research labs, deep drilling sites in Nevada, and high-stakes technical agreements in Southeast Asia. The promise of geothermal is not just clean electricity. It's a world where energy independence is the norm, not the exception. The cost is high, and the challenges of induced quakes and capital investment are real. But the reward of stable, self-sufficient, and perpetually clean energy future is worth the fight. So the next time you see a geothermal plant, don't just see a source of power. See a front line in the new geothermal geopolitics. What do you think? Will EGS technology finally make every country energy independent, or will the nations with the best drilling tech simply replace the old oil barons? Alright, let's look forward. Where's this all heading? What does a geothermal-powered future actually look like? Let's imagine a few possibilities. Scenario 1. The decentralized future. In this optimistic world, geothermal technology becomes widely accessible and affordable for everyone. Breakthroughs in deep drilling and those enhanced geothermal systems we talked about actually work at a massive scale. Costs plummet. This means countries all around the globe can tap into their own geothermal resources, achieving genuine energy independence. Think about what that does to geopolitics. The whole game changes. It becomes less of a zero-sum struggle because energy isn't just concentrated in a few lucky countries anymore. Instead of fighting over scarce resources, nations are actually sharing best practices and technology. Why? Because they're all trying to unlock the same abundant heat that is right beneath their own feet. This scenario is possible. The technology is advancing incredibly fast. If costs keep falling and countries choose to cooperate instead of compete, we could see a truly transformative shift in how our world works. Now for scenario 2, the new hierarchy. This one's a bit more cynical. In this version of the future, geothermal just creates new dependencies and power structures. We swap out the old energy giants for new ones. Countries with the most advanced technology become the new gatekeepers. They aren't selling oil or gas anymore. They're selling access to their exclusive tech and expertise. So countries without that technological base? They stay dependent just on different masters. Imagine a world where China, the US, and a handful of others dominate the geothermal industry, just like OPEC dominated oil. They control the supply chains for specialized equipment, they hold monopolies on key patents, and they use that leverage to push their own geopolitical agendas. In this scenario, we might solve the carbon problem, but we haven't solved the power imbalance problem. We're just running the same old geopolitical playbook with a different energy source. And that brings us to scenario 3, the fragmented world. In this future, geothermal development is incredibly uneven. Some countries and regions successfully transition and have all the clean energy they need. But others, lacking the technology or the capital, get left behind. The world splinters into energy haves and have-nots. The gap between the developed and developing worlds grows even wider. This could lead to huge migration pressures as people move from energy-poor regions to energy-rich ones. That creates instability, conflict, and a much more dangerous world, even though we technically solved the clean energy puzzle. So, which one of these futures will we get? Well, it all depends on the choices being made right now. How open are the countries with the technology willing to be? How aggressively will they try to protect their strategic advantages? How much can we actually achieve through international cooperation? These outcomes aren't set in stone. They're the direct result of policy choices, investment decisions, and diplomatic negotiations that are happening as we speak. So let's sum it all up. Here's what we've learned. Geothermal energy is about to become a very, very big deal. The technology is advancing at an explosive pace. Its strategic importance is becoming crystal clear to world leaders. Countries are already positioning themselves for a geothermal-powered future, and the moves they're making today will define global power dynamics for the next 100 years. This isn't like the oil age, where geology decided everything and a few lucky countries held all the cards. With geothermal, the potential is literally everywhere. And this is a big but, the technology isn't everywhere. The expertise isn't, the capital isn't, so what we're watching is a brand new kind of energy competition. It's not a scramble for scarce resources buried in the ground. It's a race to develop the technology and expertise needed to access an abundant resource. Look at Iceland, punching way above its weight because of its geothermal expertise. Or Kenya, building regional influence through energy cooperation. China is positioning itself to dominate the technology and supply chains. The US is scrambling to maintain its technological leadership. And Japan is innovating its way back to relevance despite its own domestic challenges. The countries that master geothermal technology will gain energy independence, strategic freedom, incredible diplomatic leverage, and huge economic advantages. And those that don't, they'll find themselves in a very familiar position of dependence, just answering to different masters. What I find absolutely fascinating about this moment is that we're watching it all happen in real time, but most people have no idea. While everyone is focused on solar panels, wind turbines, and electric cars, the real, fundamental transformation might be happening deep underground. Deep beneath our feet, at temperatures that would vaporize most materials, under pressures that would crush a submarine, there is enough energy to power our civilization for millions of years. The race to access that energy is already reshaping geopolitics. And here's the really important part. This race doesn't have to be zero-sum. Unlike oil, coal, or even rare earth minerals, geothermal energy isn't concentrated in a few specific locations. It's everywhere. If countries choose cooperation over competition, if they share technology instead of hoarding it, everyone could win. But that requires a level of wisdom, foresight, and the willingness to think beyond narrow national interests. And historically, let's be honest, humans aren't great at that. So the question I'll leave you with is this: are we smart enough to handle abundant, clean energy better than we handled scarce, dirty energy? Will geothermal lead to a more peaceful, equitable world, or will we just recreate the same old power struggles with a different resource? The answer to that question will define this century. What do you think? Is geothermal the ultimate solution for energy independence, or is it just the next battleground for great power competition? Do you think countries will actually share this technology, or will they use it as leverage? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video opened your eyes to a geopolitical trend you didn't even know existed, hit that subscribe button. We explore these hidden forces shaping our world every single week. The future is being built underground. Let's make sure we understand what's really happening. See you in the next one.